to the Truckee Donner Public Utility District. It is Wednesday, June 1st, 6 p.m. for our regular meeting. Shauna, could we have roll call, please?
Thank you. Director Harris? Here. Director Laliotis?
Here.
Vice President Bender?
Here.
The minutes will note that Director Aguirre and President Finn are absent.
Okay. I think that takes us to the pledge. Tony, do you want to lead us in the pledge?
Sure. Ready, begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. There, my agenda is up. Brian, any changes to the agenda tonight?
Yes, we do have one change. Staff would like to pull consent item number 8 for, as an action item. We have a short presentation. Staff reviewed and felt it warranted a little bit more additional discussion and presentation for the board and the public.
Got it. All right, thank you. Okay, public comment. Is there any public comment tonight that is not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Director update, Harris.
You know, I always like to have a little update. Good evening, everybody. So we celebrated Memorial Day on Monday, and I wanted to acknowledge and remember the active military service members who died fighting for our country and our freedoms. I also wanted to thank our employees, former and present, and our ratepayers and community members who have also served in our military. One community member in Truckee Local by the name of Phil Box died serving our country while in Afghanistan. His family honors his memory by providing a community service scholarship through the Truckee Optimist in the name of a deserving high school student. And I am honored to say that my daughter received this scholarship. Which brings me to my next item, is that last night was the Evening of Excellence that recognized students who achieved great things academically and in sports. I noticed that Liberty Energy and TTSA both were present to present scholarships, which brings me to my next observation, is that the PUD does not have a scholarship program here, and I'm not sure why, but as a community member, I would like to see the board consider supporting our local students through a scholarship opportunity through the PUD at some point. The last item I have is this Saturday is Truckee Day, and I encourage all of our employees, our board members, and residents to come out, pick up some trash, and attend the barbecue and live music to celebrate Truckee Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Leotis.
Thank you, Director Harris. I have nothing to add. Thank you.
All right. No updates for me, so thank you. Okay. GM Wright, any updates?
Yeah, thank you. I do have a few update on a couple of items the board is generally aware of, but just tracking where we're at in the progress. One of the things we've discussed earlier this spring was the return of the fire season. I met with the area manager meeting that we have every other month here with the local Truckee public agency managers and leadership team. Chief Bill Saline, soon to be former Chief Bill Saline, he's announced his retirement, and congratulations to Kevin McKechnie, who has been appointed as the future chief there. But we had a discussion about June 1st, this evening, or today, was the beginning of wildfire season here locally in our region. There is some campfire and charcoal bans back in place for the summer fire season here locally, and really encourage everyone to utilize best practices and judgment out there to keep our community safe and the region as a whole. The district continues to, and there's a presentation later on this evening on our wildfire mitigation plan that Mr. Poncelet and Mr. Horvath will discuss on some of the details we have in place in our own operations. but wanted to remind the community and the board that PSOM, the Public Safety Outage Management Program that NV Energy enhanced last summer, will again be in place for the summer of 2022. Staff has organized and coordinated a kickoff and preparation meeting with local agencies and stakeholders in the emergency response communications and actions this Thursday at 2 p.m. And community outreach and education efforts are beginning now. They're being deployed, so look for either bill stuffers, email blast, website updates, and social media updates on what our community can do to prepare with their own personal interest and as a collective, a collaborative here. PSOMs, unfortunately, are a reality because we are reliant upon NV Energy as a transmission resource. And, you know, we have measures in place just like last year to react to those, and first with our goal of public safety, prevention of wildfires, and then quickly restoring power as safely and effectively as we can. So look for that communication in the next couple of weeks, and we'll continue to update the board if any changes as we continue communication with both NV Energy, Liberty, and our community stakeholders. Community broadband, as the board is aware, is one of our key initiatives. The GM task force is currently working with staff in developing a final RFP for a scoping study. There will be a review process continues this week with the intention or the goal of a final RFP being issued out for public advertisement on June 10th of next week. The goal is, the target is to have something for the board to consider for recommendation at the next board meeting, July 6th. It is a tight timeline. If everything goes well, we'll have something for the board's consideration on July 6th. If not, we'll work for that the following meeting in August. This is, as a reminder, the scoping study to see, give some guidance for the district on particular community broadband models, funding mechanisms, and the initial steps for going into a feasibility study, a business model. A couple of other updates. A few months back, the board authorized staff to pursue sale of the low carbon fuel credits, the LCFs. We had initially planned on working with our JPA partnership, NCPA, to facilitate those sales. After further review, we discovered that additional cost and kind of administrative burden that really left it not really beneficial to go through their program. Staff has been looking for other opportunities. We've identified a firm called Elements Markets that we're currently considering going through. It's a much more streamlined process for agencies such as ourselves that don't have large sale or large packets of LCFs to sale on the market. It's benefits and really tailored more for an agency of our size. If it requires additional board consideration or approval, we'll bring those at a later date, but our goal is to continue with the sale of those credits. A couple of updates in terms of our administrative activities. The district is planning to launch a Go Paperless program in terms of our billing. There will be an opportunity for our customers to opt out of that if they still want to have paper bill programs. We know that there's definitely a group within our ratepayer base that want to continue with the paper billing and come to the office and have that interaction and make payments in person. We'll still facilitate that. That's still available, but an effort and kind of our strategic plan and environmental initiatives and efficiencies and recycling and reducing our overall environmental footprint, we are going to go paperless next month. So look for that as a ratepayer option to opt out of that program and continue to get paper billing. On the customer billing front, we have seen over the last month a pretty significant reduction in delinquent accounts, which is great news. We had a reduction, I think the estimate's somewhere around $137,000 reduction in past due and delinquent accounts. We kind of attribute that to a couple of things. One is, I think the community's understanding that, some of the the COVID exemptions are going away, but also the district has made efforts to communicate with our ratepayers that we're going to reinitiate and re-implement some of the delinquent shut-off programs. So those who are extremely past due, staff has been working with payment plans and trying to find a means to get back to up-to-date billing with some of our customers. And so over the last month, we've seen that reduction, which is great news for us. Staff will start to implement some of these delinquent shut-off programs later on in July. And so those notices are going out to everyone now. Another project we're working on that the board is aware of, want to give an update on our outage management system. With the PSOM last year, we had a lot of community feedback with the outages that were over the winter and summer, really not having sufficient or sufficient notification, some of the GIS mapping that was available in the past, and timely notification of outages and the status of those. And so staff identified an opportunity to work within our NISC software programs already in existence, our customer service platforms. NISC has been working with our GIS engineering department, our IT department, our customer service department in development with their engineers of a more comprehensive outage management system and a customer notification system. We're on schedule with that. We've been working on that for the last, I believe, 6 to 8 months. We talked about, a tentative or aspirational goal of a first quarter launch. We identified some additional engineering challenges on the back end. Those have been resolved or being resolved now. Staff is going to engage in a district-wide training opportunity next week with still a hopeful and tentative launch for early July, and we'll communicate and engage with the customers. So some of our notification tools are still in place, the Nixle, the email blasts and the website banners. We'll continue those throughout the transition, but ultimately our goal is to direct our customers to our outage management and website for real-time and tailored communication on outages and where they are in terms of ETAs for restoration. A couple of other projects staff working on collaboratively with local public agencies, in particular, the town council reviewed and approved, I believe, a pilot program in collaboration with our staff on a home weatherization program. This is a home efficiency and weatherization program for both, disadvantaged or low-income homes here and the rest of our ratepayers. There is a pilot program that we're putting in place with collaboration between the district, the town, and the gas company, so that we can kind of stack some of the rebate benefits that are out there specifically for electrification or specifically for energy reduction and weatherization of inefficiencies of homes. I think it's an exciting program. The pilot will take place later this summer, and we'll see how that works out. I think the more exciting updates, we've brought on board some really exciting new staff members. The board had earlier before the convening of this meeting get a chance to meet, but I want to introduce, I'm gonna miss on the last name. I apologize in advance, Alex, but it's Alex Spihalski. We're welcoming her on board our team as the new communication specialist with the district. It's part of our overall effort to bring on some expertise in community engagement and internal communication. We identified in our strategic plan and through our employee surveys and community surveys that communication is critical on all fronts. And so to enhance our effectiveness in that region and really build upon our engagement with all the stakeholders, we're excited to have Alex on board and looking forward to the great work in store. We have a couple other staff members that I'm going to embarrass here. We have Lupitza, our GIS engineer, who joined us last year, hasn't had a chance to really introduce her to the board. Lupitza has been instrumental and critical in developing the back end of GIS in preparation for our outage management system and other operational and engineering applications. So she's been an invaluable addition to this team, and thank her for joining us. And we have Greg Martin, I think, in the back hiding there, who's our buyer Really excited to have him on board. He's been a breath of fresh air and keeping our inventory on task and available even in these challenging supply chain conditions that we're all experiencing. So welcome some of the new team members that are in attendance, and I don't think I'm missing any. Oh, Ro Vernon's been here for a while, but he's also our SCADA engineer. So team's joining to continues to build, and we're providing more services and resources for this district and our community engagement. And I will stop there. Oh, I apologize. One more update. I apologize. Beginning from June 4th to June 7th, the district will be a voting center for Nevada County. The ballots are out because there is a lot of, mail-in ballots and kind of mail-in voting. The district is for I believe it's a 4-day window. We are a voting center here at the district. I believe the town is also a voting center for the 10-day window that's already in place. So the town and the district are both safe local places to submit your votes for these primary ballot for June of this year.
Great. Good to hear. Please go vote.
Brian, I had one follow-up on the paperless billing. Customers who are already on paperless billing, let's say through e-bills through their existing financial institution, will that change with what you guys are proposing?
I believe that everything should stay as is. If you're already on a paperless program, all of your auto pay and everything that's already in place will remain in place. For those who are not in an auto pay and paperless account, you'll be contacted by the district to be informed of the new program and given an opportunity to opt out.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, that takes us to consent tonight. So we're pulling item number 8. So we'll have items 9, 10, and 11 on consent calendar. So is there any public comment on the consent? All right, seeing none. Any comments from the directors? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented, minus item 8.
Perfect.
I'll second.
All right, Shauna, roll call, please.
Thank you, Director Harris.
Yes.
Director Laliotis.
Yes.
Vice President Bender.
Yes.
The record will note that Director Aguirre and President Finn are absent.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to now item number 8 as our first action item, consideration to adopt the 2022 Wildlife Mitigation Plan. Okay, Ms. Ponsaleh.
Yes, good evening, President Bender. All right, good evening, President Bender and Vice President Bender and members of the board. This is action item number 8. So wildfires throughout California have been well documented, particularly in the last 5 years, but over the last decade. And the state has identified, high elevation wildfire risk areas, and utilities are taking action to prevent our equipment from causing catastrophic wildfires. Senate Bill 901 took effect in 2018. It directed all California utilities to develop wildfire mitigation plans, WMPs, and then there were specific requirements for public-owned utilities, such as the district and the other 50 POUs in the state. Those include annual WMP updates with presentations to governing bodies at a notice public meeting for comment and approval. Initial third-party auditor independent review to ensure compliance with applicable rules, regulations, and standards, and then a comprehensive update every 3 years to our WMP, which will be 2023 next year. In terms of the history and timeline, I thought it was helpful to remind the board and the community of everything we have done to prepare this community for safe wildfire seasons. Started with workshops of March and June of 2019, board's adoption of the initial WMP July of 19. The board awarded a contract for third-party auditor review in October of 2019. third-party auditor presented their findings in December and essentially said the plan complied with the law and was good. The revised WMP, including the third-party recommendations, was approved by the board in May 2020 and submitted to the California Wildfire Advisory Safety Board by July 1st of 2020. And then the 2021 WMP was approved by the board in June of 2021 and again submitted to the Wildfire Advisory Safety Board. The board did issue many months later a advisory guidance opinion that included advice or guidance for all POU WMPs, and then specifically addressed each individual utility. And I will say thanks to the great work of Joe Horvath in electric utility operations and the whole team, we had 10 bullets, and they were great job, great job, great job, great job. They really liked a lot of stuff. They had one technical recommendation about automatic functioning, Joe operating reclosers from his office instead of the substation. So more of a, technical dive, and these are the kind of things that sometimes they say it and it makes some sense and we consider it, and sometimes they say it and we go, it doesn't work like that. And so we have a good relationship working with the Wildfire Advisory Safety Board. CMUA and NCPA in particular have worked closely with them, so we continue to work with them. So before us tonight is our next annual report, which is the 2022 report, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So some key changes in the report. We did respond to the Achievable Advisory Board recommendations while working with the POU community and staff and board to address their concerns. And some of the recommendations POU-wide were reasonable, and we can certainly work on them. Some of them needed some thought, and coming to us in February with the July deadline didn't allow for the proper process, but the comprehensive review will allow for that. And some of them, to be quite honest, were beyond the scale and scope of the legislation and what made sense. And so there's some pushback, some working, and some collaboration in there. We did increase the information in the introduction section in responses to the previous comments by the advisory board, and that included a context setting section, which is the first 2 pages, square miles, number of overhead, number of customers, the stuff that everybody listed. And then we included in the introduction a summary of changes. Section, this, we changed this. And that would help people direct their review in terms of specific interests or what had changed with the plan. We did update progress overall on the projects and all the mitigation projects and efforts that we take. And then metrics are something that we track and that we report in the report and to the board and to the public. And today the metrics are, fires caused by our equipment, and then wires down, primary wires down. So for 2021, we did have 6 primary wires down. 5 of them were in the December storms, and the 6th one was the tragic plane crash at the airport, which did cause a fire, but thanks to very quick response by our crew and emergency and fire, they were able to put that out. And then we had no fires caused by our equipment, so we're pleased to report those metrics. In terms of the summary of the key changes, I'm not going to go into this, but I did cut and paste what's in that introductory section, where it really, some of the things in here I've already talked about throughout the presentation. There's 2 pages of this, and I'm happy to answer any question that anyone has. And it is, again, in the beginning of the WMP. But I did want to share the breadth of the detail that we showed on all the changes, directing them to a section so that they could track changes and work with it. And if there's any questions on these or specifics, Joe and I would be happy to answer those. Fiscal impacts, not directly with this report, other than staff time and significant amount of effort, working on these efforts. The mitigations do cost money, and the vegetation management budget from 350,000 and, to well over $1.5 million in a short, 4 or 5 years are direct examples of the board and this district's investment in the community safety and in the safe and efficient operation of our equipment. Direct cost of SB 901 in addition to future unfunded mandates is unknown, and because there's always another regulation coming down the pike. And we're diligently working again with CMUA and NCPA and Aqua to track that legislation and really inform the process and try to get good regulations. And with that, the recommendation, adopt the updated 2022 wildfire mitigation plan in substantially the same form as presented, and direct staff to submit the plan to the California Wildfire Safety Advisory Board by July 1, 2022. And I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Great, thank you. Is there any public input on this item? All right, no public input. Thank you. All right. Any comments from our directors?
No, I was going to say thank you for that. Going into detail about the changes, I think it's important for the public to be able to hear what kind of work we're doing on this document, what the changes are, if they're material or not to the customers themselves, which in this case probably not, but I think it's important to know. And I do want to say I'm disappointed that you can't predict the cost of future unfunded mandates. Other than that, thank you.
That's in the updated job description.
Yeah. You're going to have to ask Salmon.
I go next? Okay. Yes, thank you very much. I know that this document is kind of a living document. It's been, brought forth, and we had previous staff members work on it, and, I want to acknowledge their work on it, as well as kind of carrying it forward into what it is today. I did have a question about something in your summary. You mentioned problematic, items that are problematic. However, it says, the general guidance for all POUs has some very problematic recommendations that the district staff through CMUA and NCPA are working closely with. Are those the items that you addressed in this, or are there other items?
Those are the items that we did not address. CMUA has a working group that's done a great job, and they kind of collectively, we created a green light, yellow, red concept of their 10 all POU recommendations. And green lights were put the summary of changes in the introduction. Boom. Some that we could do. Some red lights, some orange lights were a little more complicated about some specific practices. They had questions about herbicides and grasses that grow quick and stuff that we just need to study and understand. Some red lights were the wildfire mitigation plan needs to have an evacuation plan for your customers. No, it doesn't. The town has an evacuation plan. They run that. We support them. That's not our role. It's not our function. There was a recommendation about the wildfire mitigation plan having a plan to fight wildfires. No. The fire fights wildfires. We support them. We clearly have a role, and when we start them, we have fire extinguishers to put them out. But again, our role. So the Wildfire Advisory Board's new, and they're learning the different jurisdictions that exist, and sometimes they make a recommendation that sounds good to them, but, some education and a couple lawyers point out that it doesn't quite work. So problematic, those two examples would be what I would call problematic.
Okay, and I appreciate your honesty with this, and am also happy that we do have solutions with our other agencies that are doing it. And I'll kind of point out Code Red, that is the evacuation in the new emergency plan that the town is using, that I know that you guys are all aware of. And then in addition, we also have Nixle for our announcements. But I appreciate that we're we're going to be supporting the other agencies with those specific items as part of our plan. So, thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. I don't have any other further questions. Is there, yeah. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt the updated 2022 wildfire mitigation plan in substantially the same as presented, and direct staff to submit the plan to the California Wildfire Advisory Board by July 1st, 2022.
Excellent.
Thank you. My apologies for putting it down too early.
I got it.
We have a motion and a second. Shauna, roll call, please.
Thank you. Director Harris?
Yes.
Director Laliotis?
Yes.
Vice President Bender?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so our next action item tonight is number 12, consideration of the Pioneer Trail Pipeline Construction Contract. Neil Kaufman.
Good evening, members of the board. This is action item number 12, consideration of the Pioneer Trail Pipeline construction contract. Now, this project has been before the board on a few different occasions. I'll try and do a quick review here on the background and history. The Tahoe Donner subdivision, approximately 5,600 single-family residences, 400 multifamily residences. They've got some other development up there, clubhouse, golf course, downhill ski area. These things have varying levels of water demand upon the system. And the subdivision does represent 44% of our water system customer base. We're expecting an additional 500 residential units at build-out. Currently, the subdivision is served by a single 14-inch diameter pipeline. There are 2 pump stations that move water through that pipeline, 2 storage tanks that essentially serve as forebays for the pump station. This pipeline was constructed in about 1970, and all of these facilities are pretty much at the end of their useful life. A second pipeline into the Tahoe Donner area is needed. This project was identified in the Water System Master Plan and has been in the works for a number of years. We are currently looking at a 16-inch pipeline. The west end will connect to an existing 16-inch pipeline in Northwoods Boulevard at Lamplighter Way. On the east end, we'll connect into an existing 24-inch pipeline near Comstock Drive and the TNT concrete batch plant. And this has been downsized from the 20-inch pipe identified in the Water System Master Plan. We've evaluated the usage up there, looked at the ultimate build-out demands, and we feel comfortable in downsizing this pipe and trying to recognize some savings. This project is also going to be a joint trench, including electrical and communications conduits. These will improve the reliability and redundancy of the electric system and their ability to move power into the area as well. We're looking at a 3,000 gallon per minute pump station that will be located on district-owned property on the east end of the pipeline, again, near the concrete batch plant. We've awarded 3 contracts previously in relation to this overall project to outside consultants, one of which went to Waterworks Engineers for design assistance with the Trout Creek utility crossing and a hydraulic transient analysis. Another contract to Sowers Engineering for design of the pump station, and a third contract to Helix Environmental Consulting for the CEQA review. That was the most recent item that was brought before the board. That was made public on March 12th. The public comment period closed on April 12th, and the board approved the project for CEQA purposes on May 4th. The overall project has been broken into 2 separate construction contracts, one covering the pipeline, one covering the pump station. The scope of the pipeline contract is outlined here. Over 8,100 feet of 16-inch water pipe, about 7,800 feet of conduit, some fire hydrants, valves, and fittings. We have 11 primary power vaults and 1 switch pad. And we have the utility crossing of Trout Creek, which will be installed on the existing pedestrian bridge along the recreation trail. Advertising for bids began on April 18th. The bid opening was held on May 19th. We received 2 bids. They're outlined here in the table. The apparent low bidder was C&D Contractors, just under $4.5 million, and our second bid was just under $5.3 million. Now, this project, we are encountering a long lead time for the 16-inch pipe associated with this project. We've been quoted 4 to 5 months for delivery, and so that definitely has an impact on the overall project schedule. We're recommending award of the contract this evening, June 1st. We are anticipating 2 relatively small components that will get completed this year, one of which will be the installation of the utilities on the existing bridge across Trout Creek. The second item is going to be installation of a valve at the east end of the pipeline. This valve will serve as the interface between the 2 construction contracts. And overall, we're looking at completion of the pipeline project in September of next year. And in regards to the pump station project, we are currently reviewing the 95% submittal. We expect to get comments back to Sowers Engineering this week and hopefully get that on the street for advertising. We'll call it middle of the month with a bid opening early to mid-July and hopefully a recommendation for award at the August board meeting. So as we noted before, the bid price from C&D Contractors is just under $4.5 million. A 10% change order allowance is recommended for a total authorization of $4,950,000. Again, joint project between the water and electric departments. The cost allocation is identified here. Essentially 80% to the water department, 20% to the electric department. The fiscal year 22 water department budget included just over $2.5 million for the pipeline project. Based on the C&D bid price, the water department's portion, including the 10% change order allowance, is just under $4 million. That would be about $1.4 million over the budget, and we anticipate absorbing this overage throughout the 10-year CIP over time. So we'll kind of identify projects as we go forward and ramp them down slightly in order to make up the difference here. The electric department's portion of the project, including the potential change order allowance, is $970,000. This project was not specifically identified in their fiscal year 22 or 23 budgets. However, they do have sufficient funds in the electric department capital reserve, which had a fund balance of over $11 million as of December 31st. Now, the award of the pipeline contract this evening would commit us to moving forward with the pump station. We can't have one without the other. So when that comes forward, we're pretty much going to be stuck moving forward. We do have a budget of $2.8 million for that project. We're hoping it's going to come in that neighborhood. And both projects are budgeted and recommended to be funded by the upcoming water new debt issuance. So the recommendation before you this evening is to authorize the general manager to execute a contract with C&D Contractors in an amount of $4,497,043, plus a 10% change order allowance for a total authorization not to exceed $4,950,000.
All right, is there any public comment tonight on the Pioneer Trail Pipeline Project?
No, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Comments from the directors?
He answered my question already in the presentation, so good job. Thank you.
Cool. Tony?
Sure. A few questions. The addition of the pipeline will provide a redundant source of water into the Tahoe Donner subdivision. Will it increase the capacity that we can provide to the Tahoe Donner subdivision overall?
Right now, the plan is to make the new pipeline and pump station the primary feed into the Tahoe Donner area. This will give us the opportunity to go back to the existing facilities and rehabilitate them and kind of extend their useful life. As we've indicated, they're about done right now. We've got some problematic situations that we'd like to address, but because of the single pipeline into the subdivision, we haven't been able to take them offline. So when we get the new pipeline into the area, we can then go back, rehabilitate those facilities, and with both systems online, that would give us additional capacity up into the area.
Okay. So, and you said that the existing system, or the new system would be rated at about 3,000 gallons a minute?
Yes, and that is a little oversized for what we are anticipating to be the build-out demand.
Okay.
And we have oversized that, kind of looking at a potential wildfire-type situation up there. And hopefully that would buy us a little extra water in case something drastic happens.
And is that commensurate with the capacity of the system now, or is it actually greater?
It's greater than what we could do right now. To be honest, the two existing pump stations have been kind of band-aided over the years. If we look at what the initial pumps that were installed in those facilities back in 1970, they've been replaced at least once, if not twice, with larger capacity pumps. But there's definitely a diminishing return there because all of the internal piping to the pump stations never got changed. So we threw some bigger pumps in, and it bought us some additional capacity, but
Not efficiently.
exactly, yes.
Got it. Okay. No, I appreciate that, and I think redundancy is key, and I completely agree with the idea that, you can put this new system online, rehabilitate the old system, then reap that benefit of both systems. Obviously the cost, an extra 1.4 million on the water side and close to $1 million on the electric side. In my opinion, with this bidding climate but with the benefit of what we're gaining in reliability, obviously we're losing $1.5 million for other projects that we could do some point in other areas. But I think, to me, the redundancy of, capacity for 44% of our connections, is worth it, and I think it's needed, and I think it's time. I don't think the economy, while it might correct itself, will correct itself by enough to really justify holding off on a project like this, just kind of waiting out the thing, because, obviously no one has a crystal ball except Stephen Poncelet, but the reality is I don't think that any type of correction would be enough to justify, not moving forward with some of these projects, even though the costs seem, significantly higher than they were even just a year ago. I recommend moving forward as well.
Great. I do too. Is there a motion?
I'll move staff's approval,
There
or
it is.
staff's recommendation.
Excellent.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Sean, a roll call, please.
Thank you, Director Harris.
Yes.
Director Laliotis.
Yes.
Vice President Bender.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, that's action item number 12. We're now on to item 13, consideration of accepting the Red Mountain Tank construction project as complete and authorized payment of reimbursable costs.
Good evening again. So this is action item number 13. In August of 2019, the district entered into a development agreement with Coldstream Properties for certain potable water system improvements associated with the Coldstream development, which is also known locally as PC1 or Planned Community 1. This is located at the west end of town at the old Tykert Quarry property. The water system improvements included construction of the new water distribution pipeline system, fire hydrants, valves, and service connections within Phase 3 of the development. This is actually the initial phase of the overall project, but due to some quirky nomenclature, the town has designated it as Phase 3. And they also included design and construction of the new 200,000-gallon potable water storage tank, which is located at the Red Mountain site in the Donner Lake area. The original development agreement included a provision for meet and confer between the two parties should the construction bids for the design and construction of the new tank exceed the original estimate of $500,000. Now, Coldstream Properties worked closely with the district in developing the tank construction specifications and bid documents, and they received a total bid price from Crosno Construction in the amount of just under $870,000. And this bid price did not include the civil engineering design, the geotechnical services, and the inspection costs. On August 5th of 2020, the board approved an amendment to the original development and reimbursement agreement, which included the following provisions. Following acceptance by the district, Coldstream Properties would receive reimbursement of qualifying costs identified here. The first $500,000 in design and construction costs would be reimbursed from water facilities fees collected from parcels within the project. Actual costs for design and construction of the tank in excess of $500,000 would be paid by the district with a lump sum payment following final acceptance of the tank. And any change orders exceeding 10% of the original bid amount would require approval from the district's board. During the course of the construction project, 3 change orders have been reviewed and approved. In September of 2020, we had additional costs relating to the site grading and foundation preparation. In June of 21, we added a safety handrail, safety platform, stilling well for a tank sensor. And in July of 21, we updated the coating specifications for the tank. And also in July of 21, that should read 2021, the board approved a revised change order allowance with an increase from 10% to 12%. So again, that was July 21st of 2021. Construction of the tank was completed in the fall of 21. Final inspections and testing were completed and accepted by the district staff, and the tank has been in service since that time. In April of this year, the district received a written request from Coldstream Properties for final acceptance of the project and payment of the reimbursable costs. The total summary of costs was just over $1,075,000 and was included with the staff report. The total reimbursable costs include engineering and geotechnical services, site preparation, the tank design and construction, and inspection and testing. The total cost would be reimbursed in the following manner: a $575,135.37 lump sum payment to the developer for project costs in excess of the $500,000, a payment of just over $198,000 to the developer for water facilities fees collected to date from parcels within the Coldstream project. And that leaves just under $302,000 to be paid in biannual installments from future water facilities fees as collected from parcels within the project. The Red Mountain Tank construction project was not included in the fiscal year 22-23 budget, but is included within the district's water system master plan. This project is being funded in accordance to the Phase 3 final development reimbursement agreement between the district and Coldstream Properties. And as noted previously, $500,000 would be coming from water facility fees collected from within the project, and $135.37 would be paid from the Donner Lake Assessment District Improvement Fund balance, and that would leave a remainder of just over $101,000 in that fund. So the recommendation before you is to accept the Red Mountain Tank construction project as complete and authorize payment of reimbursable costs in accordance with the board-approved Phase 3 final development and reimbursement agreement between the Truckee-Donner Public Utility District and Coldstream Properties, LLC, for construction of certain potable water system improvements.
Excellent. Thank you. Any public input on this item?
No, Mr. President.
All right, no public input. Any director input? It's looking good. We got a course.
No, I want to thank Neil for a great presentation. It really laid out, a complex, development agreement process and project. Just a quick question, that the money that was in the Donner Lake Improvement Fund, that balance was left over from the collection of funds from the customers in that water system? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, those are remaining funds for the original Donner Lake assessment improvements. The construction of a new water tank was included in that original development or assessment. At the time, the funds weren't available, enough funds left available in the balance to construct that tank at the time. There's been some favorable investment and management of those funds, and essentially the Coldstream development, based on the demands on the system, expedited that project from our larger water facilities plan.
Right. It was a good balance of public and private process. And then, so is that Coldstream Properties, are they actually developing each parcel themselves, or are they selling properties, selling vacant properties?
So my understanding of the project is that Coldstream Properties, which is some subsidiary or they have some relationship to Teichert.
Yeah.
They are installing the base infrastructure, so the water, the sewer, the power, and whatnot. They have a cooperative agreement with another company that is constructing the individual homes, the individual residences, which are then being sold off.
So when they construct, when that developer arm constructs the structure, they are paying the facility fees to us at that time?
Correct. The way that the facility fee system is structured, fees are paid when a building permit is obtained.
Okay.
So yes, when they go through the building department process, pull their permit, that's when fees are due. So as an example, we have vacant lots that still exist in old subdivision. We have vacant lots in Glenshire. We have vacant lots in Tahoe Donner, vacant lots in Sierra Meadows. We collect facility fees when that vacant lot develops, whether that's now, whether that's in the future.
So that 300 grand that you said was going to be reimbursed over time, based on future facility fee collections, essentially it's on their dime to, or so it's sort of on their court to develop those properties to get that reimbursement. Is that correct?
It's on their schedule, yes.
Right.
Yeah, the reimbursable cost for the first 500,000, approximately 198,000 in facility fees has been collected to date. The remainder of that 300,000 is, the timing of those disbursements is based on the progress of development. And so as construction progresses, facility fees are collected, and then the developer of record at that time receives those reimbursements.
Right. But if the project goes bust, let's just say, then those funds are in limbo for the developer.
Correct.
Okay, cool. All right, I don't have any further questions.
Okay,
I'll move staff's recommendation.
perfect.
I'll second.
Shauna, roll call, please.
Thank you, Director Harris.
Yes.
Director Laliotis.
Yes.
Vice President Bender.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, that's it for action items. We got some routine business to approve the treasurer's report, June 2022, fund balances for the month March 31, 2022, and disbursements for the month April 30, 2022. Includes Government Code Section 53065.5 items. Any public comment on these? Nope. Questions from the directors or a motion to approve?
I'll approve the treasurer's report for June 2022.
I'll second.
Great. Motion and a second. Roll call?
Director Harris.
Yes.
Director Laliotis.
Yes.
Vice President Bender.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we got some minutes from May 18th, 2022. Guessing no public comment. Any comments from the directors on the
I know that
meeting?
they're wonderful to read, but no.
Riveting.
Riveting.
Any comments?
No comments.
Okay. I'll move approval of the minutes for, or was it May 16th?
18th.
18th, 2022.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Director Harris.
Yes.
Director Laliotis.
Yes.
Vice President Bender.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look at that. That's it. That's the end of the meeting. We did it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And meeting is adjourned. Have a good one.